Good morning. My name is Scott Leppart. I am currently the Dean of the College of Health Sciences and the Director of the Sports Medicine Research Institute at the University of Kentucky. I've been asked to comment on a paper that was published in the American Journal of Sports Medicine, Volume 25, Number 1, 1997. Titled The Role of Proprioception in the Management and Rehabilitation of Athletic Injuries, with my co-authors, Geraldo and Dr. Freddie Fu. This was conducted while I was the chairperson for the Department of Sports Medicine and Nutrition and the director of the Neuromuscular Research Laboratory at the University of Pittsburgh, and was a professor in the Department of Orthopedic Surgery. There's 5 questions that I will respond to. The first being, what was your motivation for this study? And in the early 1990s, our research group, predominantly myself and Dr. Fu, began studying the role of proprioception and neuromuscular control as it contributed to joint stability, both in the prevention of capsule ligament injuries, in predominantly the shoulder, knee, and ankle, and the role of injury and surgery and rehabilitation to restore that mechanism. It was our impression that the scientific community did not have a thorough understanding of the sensory motor role of capsule ligamentous structures as it related to joint stability, and specifically the role of muscle providing dynamic joint stability to work synergistically with the static stabilizers of the joint, and in the absence of mechanical stability following trauma, what the impact was on proprioception and neuromuscular control. Our work received considerable attention in 1994 when we received the Charles Neer Award from the American Shoulder and Elbow Surgeons. Work with Dr. Fu and Dr. J.P. Warner that profiled the normal role of proprioception and neuromuscular control of the shoulder, both in the healthy athletic shoulder, as well as following capsule ligamentous injury resulting in stability, and finally the role of surgically retensioning the capsule ligamentous structures to restore mechanical stability. The outcome of this research did demonstrate that the highly innervated capsule ligamentous structures, innervated with mechanoreceptors, did become deafferentated following injury, and resulting in deficits in proprioception. The work also demonstrated that through rehabilitation, there can be alternative pathways reestablished as it relates to restoring neuromuscular control and surgically retensioning the soft tissue of the shoulder, assisted with restoration of proprioception neuromuscular control. Based on the this receptivity that the community had relative to our work in the shoulder, we subsequently published this paper in the Journal of Shoulder and Elbow Surgery. Therefore, we felt that it was important that the community had a thorough understanding of proprioception as it related to management and rehabilitation of athletic injuries in all joints. And this was really the motivation for us to publish the first paper in American Journal of Sports Medicine in 1997, providing an overview of the content, some strategies for the restoration of the dynamic muscular mechanism and neuromuscular control of the joint, and ultimately resulting in widespread citations of this work. The second question that I was asked to respond to was the biggest impact that it had on the field of sports medicine. I think the biggest impact was a widespread appreciation for the role of proprioception in neuromuscular control and the impact both in a preventative manner and a rehabilitation environment that focused on specific restoration of the afferent signals from joints, stimulating the afferent receptors that resulted in an efferent neuromuscular response, and the widespread integration of these strategies that began to occur in the rehabilitation setting. Subsequent to this early research, there was significant attention by researchers across the world, literally, as it related to proprioception and neuromuscular control and joint injuries. So the biggest impact was pulling all of the sports medicine team together with a general understanding that there's a significant dynamic component to joint stability that needs to be considered. The third question is, what would you do differently, or what do you wish you knew back then? I think the important thing was that we recognized that there was, although the issue of proprioception was discussed widely, it wasn't understood and wasn't appreciated. And I think that was really how we began. And I'm not certain that there would have been a better way to approach beginning this research agenda that occurred for some 20-25 years. The fourth question is, what did the research teach you that you were not expecting? Truly, the receptivity of rehabilitation specialists and musculoskeletal researchers who are focused on injury prevention, that the content of the research was fully integrated into the orthopedic and sports medicine community, which was reinforced by the first award that I referred to, the NEAR Award, in 1994. From that point on, there has been considerable attention given to both surgical intervention and the preservation of tissue that was highly innervated with neuromechanoreceptors, and the role of having very specific strategies, not only to strengthen muscle, but also to improve proprioceptive neuromuscular control. One of the things we did find over the course of a number of years was that some of the surgical interventions truly did not restore proprioception neuromuscular control the way we thought it perhaps would. The impact of laser intervention actually had a deleterious effect on proprioception, as we know that had a negative effect on the survival rate of mechanoreceptors that were intact. So I think that was an important finding, that in addition to the loss of mechanical stability over time, we also realized that it wasn't the best intervention as it related to preservation of neuromuscular control. Finally, the last question is, what suggestions would you have to new authors from your experience in the most highly cited author? As a non-orthopedic surgeon, the message that I would have is that these types of studies need to be disseminated widely across the entire sports medicine community, which we attempted to do, to bridge the understanding of the role and the management of joint stability across not only the orthopedic surgeon community, but also the athletic trainer and the physical therapist role, so that everyone, the entire community, was on the same page relative to the literature, and that strategies were collectively designed to contribute to the dynamic stability of the joint from a prophylactic or preventative standpoint, and that with appropriate interventions and strategies that these important sensory motor characteristics can be restored while the mechanical stability is restored through surgical reconstruction and rehabilitation.